Welcome to Let's Get Rash. This is the podcast that says what your boss won't and what your employees wish they could. Work sucks today because leadership sucks and no one wants to say it out loud. I'm Jessica, a former insider turned leadership coach and the author of Let's Get Rash about leadership. I'm not here to be nice, I'm here to be real. Let's get rash about it. Remember the old story of Ebenezer Scrooge? Of course you do, because the Christmas classic has been told so many freaking times, originally written in 1843 by Charles Dickens, 182 years ago. And in that time, we've managed to squeeze out over 400 versions of it, from Bill Murray's Scrooge to the Muppets' Christmas Carol. And just in case you've been living under a rock, Scrooge is this miserable, wealthy man who hates Christmas, hates humanity, hates fun, hates joy. He's visited by three ghosts, past, present, and future. And somewhere along the haunted tour, he decides to stop being a jerk. Blah, 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 happily ever after, roll the credits. Except the story never really ended, not in real life anyway. When you watch any version of A Christmas Carol today, the parallels to our community slap you right in the face. It's almost embarrassing how little has changed in nearly 2 centuries. It actually has managed to get worse. Scrooge wasn't just mean, he was an elitist. He genuinely believed that he was above everyone else. Sound familiar? I think we all need a visit from the ghost of Christmas Present. Because the truth is, the ugly head of elitism has wiggled its way into every corner of our daily lives. Everybody wants to matter, everybody wants to feel important, and instead of creating a community or humility or strength, it's become a competition. Who can prove they're more important than everyone else? It's every man for himself out there. See, back in 1843, the readers identified with Bob Cratchit, the humble, hardworking employee. Someone like Scrooge was rare. Today, well, it feels like everyone is Scrooge more than Bob. And it's less about money and more about appearances. Honestly, I think we could all use a visit from the ghost of Christmas Present, myself included. Every day it feels like we're fighting for just an ounce of respect, a tiny shred. You can feel it even in the simplest of errands. When you leave your house, within 10 minutes you've already been disrespected 10 different ways. If you hold the door open for someone, nothing, no thank you, no nod, not even eye contact. When you go to the grocery store, you might stand patiently in a grocery aisle waiting for your turn. And when the time comes, someone more important swings in and invades your space. At the checkout, a new register opens up. The cashier says, "I can take whoever's next." Somehow, the person in the back of the line who hasn't waited a minute waltzes up. You walk outside, cars won't stop for you to pass. When you drive home, someone tailgates you even though you're already speeding. At stoplights, it's a race for respect, especially if you're driving something that's lifted. All right, whose truck's better? As soon as the light goes, we're going to race. When you arrive home, you may say hello or good evening to someone walking their dog and get ignored yet again. Technology has bred a new form of disrespect. For those of us who still physically go into brick and mortar businesses, we're silently told we don't matter. We're put on the back burner. Hold on, I have a DoorDash order. The customer standing there in person is somehow less important than someone who pushed a button on the phone. See, the one who couldn't be bothered to get off their ass and leave the couch, they're prioritized. When it's hot outside, you might try to find peace and serenity by floating your local river or heading to the mountains. There, yet again, you'll be met with disrespect. You'll be forced to endure the painful music choices of 5 DJs with, quite honestly, some pretty amazing Bluetooth speakers, but still, they send the symbolic message that they matter more than you. If you treat your family to an amusement park, already paying a ridiculous high price, maybe saving for years and years to make this dream come true, you'll hear, "Do you want to upgrade so that you don't have to wait in line to the fast track?" You say yes, pay the extra fee, only to find out that you're not unique, you're just standing in a different line, which somehow ends up longer than the original one. And the folks who couldn't afford that upgrade, their kids just have to wait in line all day long. Screw them. We live in a world where if we disagree politically, we just stop talking to each other. We are competing for the attention of our loved ones, strangers, coworkers, and bosses, and losing, by the way, to cell phones. We've created invisible boundaries in all of our lives. I need to protect my mental health. And the moment that someone crosses that invisible line, we're done. We even say that. I'm done. I'm done. I'm going no contact. Cool. Great. When the government shut down and the people lost their food stamps, some of us mocked them. We laughed. I guess you'll have to get a job now, won't you? I think it's funny. Now, I have my own issues with the food stamp program and plenty of others, but laughing at people who are financially unprepared to feed themselves or their kids, that doesn't seem funny. I think both political parties can agree on that, right? It doesn't seem like the place or the time. It's mean, it's cruel, it's very Scrooge-like. Today we constantly police each other. Jessica, you can't say master bedroom anymore. Jessica, saying Idaho native is racist. It's all subjective. We are vicious on social media. You'll see a news story of a 20-year-old man who's killed in a car accident wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Instead of feeling sympathy for his family, cue the comments full of criticism. See, because we don't care if his siblings, his mom, or his dad read it. Nah, we're right, and we're speaking our truth. Do you guys remember when everyone was on the anti-bullying bandwagon? We overused that like we do everything, and now it doesn't mean anything. Today, there are 20,000 versions of what bullying means. I was really bullied in high school, bad. Oh, really? How so? Well, I was pretty and I was popular and I drove a brand new car. You know, it was like really hard. What? Bullying became just a trend for that decade. We pounded the subject into the ground for 10 years and we left the door open of the bandwagon long enough for everyone to hitch a ride. Now it doesn't mean anything. Something that truly confuses me today is this concept of speak your truth. See, we value that, but true, honest conversations are increasingly rare, both professionally and personally. Everyone fears them. And those who do speak up, well, they're labeled blunt, tacky, offensive, toxic, and we squeeze them into a box and we write unacceptable on it with a big black Sharpie marker. We've erased those who dare to be honest from our society, and that honesty is not welcome in the workplace. Professionally and personally, I long for the days of genuine communication. I think we all do. Employees are begging for it. Everyone is. How many of you listening are getting the cold shoulder from someone in your life right now and you don't know why? You have guessed the reasons, you kind of have an idea, but you're not for sure. If you ask, you're not going to get the real answer. Yeah, that's how everything feels now. See, the speak your truth movement is garbage. It always starts with, I feel like, ... or you hurt my feelings because ... Applause. I'm so proud of you, you spoke your truth. Except here's the thing, there is no your truth. There's the truth, and that's it. Facts don't bend to feelings. Somehow we've convinced ourselves that everything is subjective, that we all get to rewrite reality with catchy phrases, but guess what? We don't. That's the truth, so deal with it. We live in a culture of disrespect, and this isn't a one-off behavior, it's a pattern. It's everywhere. Let me tell you a tiny story. A couple months ago, my husband and I were out to dinner. The table next to us had about 6 men clearly enjoying their night. They were getting louder and louder, dropping F-bombs every few seconds. I'm not a delicate flower. I don't pretend to be. I don't care about the language, obviously. But it's rude. It's disrespectful. And before you blame a generation, these guys were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s dressed in bougie, expensive golf attire. That's not the point of my story, though. That was just a funny perk to this story. From where I was sitting, I could see the front door, and I watched a man rolling up the sidewalk in a wheelchair about in his 70s, and I predicted he was going to struggle with the entrance. I jumped up instinctively to help. I opened the door and I said, "Sir, do you need help?" He snapped at me. "I got it." Okay then. Well, F you too. Best of luck. See, even kindness now feels like a gamble. We're living in a time where saying good morning is met with silence more often than not. In every public space, even in sit-down restaurants, you'll hear someone watching a video at full volume or talking on speakerphone. And now when someone does do something nice, they film it. Suddenly they're a hero. Did you guys see that video where the truck stops and that old lady crosses? Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that wonderful? Let's donate to his GoFundMe account. See, that used to be everyday behavior and certainly not worthy of recognition. And here's a public service announcement for everyone. If you do something kind and you hit record, you just erase the kindness. Walking up to a homeless person with $20 while live streaming it, that doesn't make you generous, it makes you a dirtbag. You turn their moment of need into your content and force them to choose between their own dignity and $20. Kindness done for an audience isn't kindness, it's a performance. We pretend to be progressive and then we worship movies like The Devil Wears Prada. We binge watch Bravo TV and we ride or die for political parties. See, we've normalized elitism to the point where it's entertaining. We aspire to be like them, even if it's just an illusion. Some of us have sold our souls just to wear name brand clothing to appear to be rich. Appearance is everything, sometimes even putting ourselves in debt for it. For Christmas, parents of teenagers will scramble to find discounts on leggings that retail for $128. The cost for the company, $5. That's a 2,460% markup. The clerk ringing them up would have to work 7 hours to afford those same spandex pants that are all made in China. Resourceful parents will hunt for the logo at thrift stores or used pairs on Poshmark, still overpaying, but the image of prestige matters far more than the reality, all so that we can build that next generation of elitists. In a year or so, the trend will shift, the brand will be out, and we'll worship the next popular trend. The cycle never ends. Isn't it beautiful? And then we look down on people who don't measure up. Elitism is everywhere. In entertainment, musicians and documentaries will brag about destroying hotel rooms like it's cute, smashing lamps, vomiting everywhere, peeing on furniture. We all laugh, that's so cool. But who cleaned that up? Some underpaid housekeeper who became the real-life Bob Cratchit of the Hilton? See, we don't care because that's their job. That's not my problem that you chose housekeeping. Pick a better job. Wow. Quick story, unrelated, kind of. My mom was a housekeeper in the 80s, and one day she saw Reba McEntire in the hallway of the hotel. As Reba passed my mom, she said, "Hi." That story has been repeated in my family for decades. Nice of Reba, but that's how low the bar is. A celebrity greets a housekeeper and we treat it like it's the second coming. One of my favorite movies is Fallen Down with Michael Douglas. It came out in 1993, and if you haven't seen it, the storyline follows a man who just has had it. He's done with the disrespect, done with the nonsense, and he snaps. The character is surprisingly relatable. You'll find yourself actually rooting for him, which isn't good. Back then, though, the one bit of comfort that I remember thinking was, well, that only happens in big cities like LA. That level of tension and disrespect felt like something that was concentrated in crowded places. But now, not anymore. Today you see those same attitudes everywhere, even in a town of 250 people, even in the mountains. There is no escape from the constant disrespect anymore. There's no buffer that the small town life once supposedly provided. This whole rant is a conversation that I've had with everyone I know. So if we all agree that it's happening, who's doing it? Who are the people that don't return a hello on the sidewalk? It's us, all of us, because it's contagious. At some point you stop initiating pleasantries. Why wouldn't you? So now it's all of us. Now let's talk about people with power, because this is where the traditional Scrooge really shows up. Years ago, we only heard rumors about celebrities or politicians being monsters behind the scenes, but now we have cameras. So when the mask slips, we all get to see it. Take, for example, Katie Porter, California representative who's currently running as a California governor. Katie was known for grilling executives and sticking up for the little people, a champion of the everyday worker, until a leaked video showed her screaming at her employee when she was on a virtual meeting.
And the state could lose. Get out of my shop.
And just like that, the mask off. Full Scrooge moment. And this isn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. Elitism is bipartisan. You'd be shocked how many politicians have said to a taxpayer's face, "I'm not talking to someone like you." Someone like you? Who do you think elected you? Right now, all over the country, citizens are showing up at local board meetings, city councils, school boards, public hearings, and town halls. They're walking up to the podium and speaking their minds. Silly to you, maybe, but they're exercising their freedoms. And what they're really screaming is, we are tired of being disrespected. In return, they're given typically 3 minutes to air their grievances. If they go over by a second, they are told to sit down. The board of elected officials, those they are speaking to, couldn't look more disengaged or uninterested. The elitism the citizens encountered up to that point is what's driving them to keep speaking out. They're fighting for just a tiny shred of respect. I keep seeing videos of people taking cameras into government buildings, and look, I'm not a fan of inventing new problems, but I can't ignore the parallels to my own experiences. These are public servants, yet they are often so brutal to the very public they're supposed to serve. They're rude, and they make it very clear who holds the power. At the root of all of this is simple. People are tired of being disrespected. Sure, some are intent on searching for problems and making a career out of lawsuits, but more often than not, escalation happens because the first few times they tried to handle the problem at the lowest level, they were made to feel insignificant. The same thing happens at work. An employee who escalates an issue to the point of an investigation or uses threatening language, they're doing so because they tried to handle it directly, and what happens? They were ignored, or they got the generic response, which usually means, "I don't have time for you, peasant." So what does this all have to do with leadership or business? Well, elitism is alive and well and thriving in the workplace. Let's talk about work. It's the one place that hand selects an employee from hundreds of candidates. Or when they promote, they say, they're symbolically saying, you are the one that we have chosen, you have the skills, and let's be honest, your personality fits too. Work should be the one place we feel respected, but most of us don't. In fact, work is often the catalyst for our need for respect in every other area of our lives. We spend all day at a place that symbolically tells us that we don't matter. Then step out into the real world where that disrespect just continues. I've covered a lot of this in episode 1, and I can't go through every example in each episode, but bosses, listen up. Employees will make your business their purpose. Don't strip them of their dignity. Don't disrespect them by holding them back from excelling or signaling like they don't matter, whether that's through micromanagement, ignoring them, or tolerating poor performers. See, leaders forget something very crucial. The average person has a network of about 50 meaningful connections. If you have 10 employees, that's 500 people. Those 500 people have 50 connections. That's potentially 25,000 people hearing stories about your company, good or bad. Great leaders understand this, but bad leaders don't. They think their staff is beneath them, so their networks must be irrelevant. That's ignorance at its finest. Employees know people. They know important people. They know people who matter. They know people who would buy your product. And because bosses never build these relationships, they have no idea who's connected to who. Even though we all carry our own version of the elitism torch in our personal lives, this is one characteristic, ironically, that most people can't get past, and it's in the form of business. People love to support businesses that are authentic and genuine, and they will jump aboard tearing one down that's not. A tape was leaked conveniently right before Thanksgiving of the CEO of Campbell's Soup saying, and I quote, "We have shit for effing poor people. Who buys our shit? Well, not me anymore. Thanks, I'll find an alternative for my green bean casserole." And that's why this story, The Christmas Carol, 182 years later, still matters. Kindness isn't complicated. We just stop doing it. I want to be really clear about something. I'm not anti-capitalism. I'm not anti-rich. Or pro-victimhood. That's not my message, and it never has been. If any of my content has accidentally put me in that bucket, let me pull myself right out of it. I'm not here to pit rich boss versus poor employee. I'm not here to cry about oppression or paint employers as the villain. I'm here to show bosses what poor leadership looks like from the back end, because the employee perspective is the part that no one ever shows them. Most leaders aren't malicious, they're just disconnected. And I genuinely believe in the power of a solid team. A great team can make a business unstoppable, and most bosses don't even realize what they're sitting on. That's the purpose of what I'm doing. Not tearing down capitalism, not demonizing success. I'm just holding up a mirror so leaders can see the stuff their employees already whisper about. We've talked suicide prevention to death, quite literally. We just need to have another conversation. We just need to have a conversation. No, we've had enough of those, and nothing's changing. Everyone's fighting for an ounce of respect in this world. You want real intervention? Try this. Put your phone down in public. Say hello. Hold a door. Say thank you. Acknowledge cashiers. Wave at your neighbors. Treat the person serving your food like a whole human. Give grace. Show empathy. Act like community matters. Make kindness the expectation, not the exception. See, the ghost of Scrooge is still roaming the world. And if you know me personally, you probably snickered because you know I've been guilty of some of these things that I'm talking about. It's true. I've said mean things. I've looked down on people. I've blasted political talking points. All true. But we all need this message right now, including me. Maybe the story hasn't ended because we're the ones who have to write the final chapter. Let's start with a very simple idea. Stop acting like you're above people. Start acting like people matter. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas.